It's episode 311, the 311th episode, which,
Starting out
as you
great.
gather, means it's really, really important. It's the episode that follows Microsoft Ignite, where we try and sift through the thousands of messages in the message center. Anyway, what are we going to cover? Well, our three top things. Organizational data in Microsoft 365. We've also got collaborative notes in channel meetings, so that's going to be interesting to chat about. And then Copilot coming to Windows 10. It was coming to Windows 11, now it's definitely coming to 10. Let's talk about why in this episode. Roll it. And you know you wanted to come back after that intro because of all the intrigue I sowed in that intro.
Oh, it was amazing. That may have been the most amazing intro we've ever had in the 311 episodes of this show. It was amazing.
At least the most amazing 311th episode intro.
Oh my gosh.
So while Daniel's taking a sip, I'll slip it in and say that you've got to follow us if you're not already. And we thank you for following us. If you are, you're here. That people do make the time to catch up with what's happening in M365 and the Message Center by following 365 MCS on all the socials.
That matter.
Yeah, we haven't added any additional ones since.
Nope. And I feel like if you're still around after that intro, you really do care about what's coming and what's new in Microsoft 365.
Did you want me? I can do a retake if you want. I can
okay.
look. Hey, everyone! On this episode of 311.
No, it's we have variety here. We do things
like a variety show,
kinda without the funny parts.
Ooh,
I'm just kidding. I'm just
a comedian.
So yes, Microsoft Ignite conference was last week, where Copilot was every other sentence, and we got a little bit of information on other things.
Yeah, we did.
If you didn't figure it out, basically every product team in Microsoft has been working only on Copilot for the last 12 months or something. So, they got to have their big, huge reveal of everything Copilot. And we learned some things. We'll talk about several announcements around Copilot in this episode and how things are changing and being renamed because, of course, they have to rename stuff too.
They do.
We need to keep people employed. So even the people who rename stuff have to be employed. So we'll talk about that as well. And
I think it's the trends that we'll see around that renaming and what that means for using those services and how to access them.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. And I think
what's our first one, Daniel? Oh, we're not going there yet. Sorry.
No, yeah. I think let's jump into it. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
So first message is collaborative notes in channel meetings. Hello. MC690924. That's right. The wonderful functionality we've had in Teams meetings, this collaborative notes where you can, it's a Microsoft Loop component. Have you ever heard of Loop, Daryl?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
We've had this wonderful Loop component integration where we can take these notes collaboratively, meaning all of us all at the same time, seeing what people are typing inside. Can I call it regular Teams meetings? Ad hoc team meetings.
I think the official name is a private Teams meeting.
Is it private Teams meeting?
It is.
So now we're going to be able to do collaborative notes in channel meetings. So if you create a meeting that is now, inside or tied to a channel, then you'll be able to use it. This does bring up some interesting questions about this functionality. My first question that came out of my mouth was, hey, does this mean then guests in that team that are members of that channel will be able to see these collaborative notes? Because in these private Teams meetings, they can't. When they click on notes, it has a nice construction barricade looking thing saying you don't have access to this. So will they have access? I'm guessing they will, if they're going to be storing. But the reason why they couldn't before is that loop component that was powering that was not accessible to guests, right? But if we're storing this loop component in the channel, which is what I'm assuming we're doing here, then will then the guests be able to see the channel, the collaborative notes in this channel meeting?
Well, a small insight to that, because it is now generally available, I could say that early experience is, yes, a guest who's part, and this case expands on the meeting thing, but it actually is the reason why it works, why I think it will work for meetings, that a guest of a team is not outside your org. They've been given an identity inside your org via B2B and etc. Not like a proper account with a license, but they have an identity in your place. The file is now available in a place, a file store where they are allowed to get to. And when you're adding a component to a Teams conversation, it's stored in the Files tab of the channel. So that is the same place where collaborative notes will be stored. And therefore, I believe, and I need to test this week, but guests should be able to access those collaborative notes.
It also, brings up other questions to me about, access to Planner, because, and things like that when we're talking about guests, but, and how all that'll work with follow-up tasks. Are you going to be able to assign a task to a guest? I'm assuming you will be able to, but how do they access that? I don't know. There's a lot of questions here. So it'll be interesting. So that's my first question, is guests interaction. And so it sounds like there will be some, but some particulars I think will have to be discovered. And maybe we'll add that to Daryl's checklist of what he needs to check. The second thing, though, is what is covered in the section down below in the important notes in this message, which is talking about the wiki-based meeting notes. That functionality that no one liked, rightfully so. And so they're getting rid of it. And we kind of knew this, but they were putting some actual date on this, because basically it's saying that, okay, first of all, collaborative notes in these channel meetings are only available in new Teams desktop client. Okay, so we have to have the new Teams. But the notes are not going to be available, collaborative notes in EDU yet, but it's coming. However, they're getting rid of wiki-based notes anyway. So whether or not they have it ready for EDU or not, doesn't matter. They're getting rid of it. Oh, also GCC and GCC High and DoD Cloud, same thing. It's not available for you, the collaborative notes in channel meetings, but we're getting rid of the wiki-based, so say goodbye. In fact, they put a January 2022 date on that at the very, very bottom, which is interesting because the rollout period here is targeted release early January through late January. And then standard release is mid-February through early March. So there's definitely a time period, it looks like, where EDU and those government clouds are not going to have the wiki-based note taking, nor are you going to have the collaborative meeting notes for the channel meetings. So, there's going to be some limits here, and it's just not going to be there when you go and take notes for a meeting.
For the few that use it.
Right. Well, I mean, yes. Correct. So that's the rollout. I'm excited about this. I will say it's going to change the way I use collaborative notes a little bit, because when I'm on a meeting, for instance, with a client, and I'm taking collaborative notes, I kind of have in the back of my head, they don't see this. And so I'm going to have to take these meeting notes that we're taking internally on the and summarize them and send them to the client. So if we do this as a channel meeting, though, then they will be able to see it, and we can. But we need to change our strategy on how we use it, but then also how we make sure the client, or in your case, it may just be an external party, will have to how we can teach them how they get access to it, right? Because it's kind of the whole point is you don't want to have to copy and paste those into something else. You need to show them how to get to those notes. So, Daryl, let's switch gears a little bit and maybe talk about some Ignite news. However, I broke the news before Ignite, and I want to make sure everyone knows that. No, I'm just joking. But it is renaming things, which, we mentioned before, Microsoft loves to do.
Yeah, it's all about coordinating tasks and what we get up to. And I'm going to cover off two messages because they kind of approach the same thing, but in two different directions, with project on the web and with our current experience of tasks by planner. So the first message is let me try and read this. I have to, because I think it takes the title for the longest title, honestly. App name change for Microsoft Project for the Web, Project, Teams, tab, and Project Power App to Planner Project. See, I had to pause there and take a breath for starters, but then also try and make sense of it. So MC 690608. Their project on the web has been a useful product, but it has also been kind of hard to access for a lot of people. If you're willing to pay the money, then you'll get access to it. Project managers, I'm sure. From the other direction, we've had this product planner for a while that we've seen a lot of potential, but we've wanted it to do more than what it can do. We've wanted it to be able to have dependencies or have a Gantt chart and a few things that were really kind of protected and, no, if you want that, you're going to have to go to Project on the Web. Well, Microsoft have certainly responded and have, brought all that together. Yeah. And so as part of that, and it's all related to those announcements, we're not going to cover the announcements so much, but the rename is about aligning with that. Those experiences and features that we've wanted, which were traditionally part of Project on the Web, are now part of Planner Project, which, if we can put it another way, is Planner Premium. It is, Planner that we know today, but it's going to be able to do a whole lot more. I honestly, there was so much happening at Ignite, and I was starting a new job. I've still got to catch up with the details, so I'm not going to pretend to know it all, but I'm excited about that, not so much the rename, because, actually, look, the rename is important because it's actually trying, and you've said this, Daniel, it's about trying to make sense of what has been a confusing transition period for the next message. Should I cover that, or do you have any thoughts about the project part of it before we
one thing I wanted to highlight there is the very end of this title. It says Planner and parentheses Project.
Yeah.
So maybe there's Planner.
Yeah.
And then there's Planner Project. I don't know. It's not very clear there to me. What the new project is going to be officially named, but I think it is Planner Project. I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Which it's Planner with project features. Yeah. Which you pay a premium to get, which is why I called it Planner Premium.
Right. Yep.
But when I say a premium, I'm not even knowledgeable of what that additional cost is. But it is, I think we're going to say this, we're seeing a recognizable pattern with some of the services that you have a suite of something which covers a number of stuff. And then if you want the extra cheese, then you've got to pay premium. The premium, you take it up to the premium, whatever. Anyway, I'll move on to the next one that's related to it, positioning and going from the other direction. And we've seen this in Flux for a while, is that what was tasks and then was tasks by planner, that's today. It's your planner experience in Teams. It also brings in there your to-do items as well. Is going to be renamed as Microsoft Planner, right? So now, if you relate that to the previous message, you've got Planner, Microsoft Planner, and then you've got Microsoft Planner Project. So not so much that there's any changes as far as I can see to functionality. Maybe there's a few bits and pieces, but the bigger news is really that project features are coming down into a planner-like experience. And so now you've got this nice delineation of planner, which you get out of the box with most of your subscriptions. But if you want the premium, cool project type dependency, Gantt chart features, and all that resourcing stuff, project/premium. Mm-hmm. I think that's all I need to say about that. There's some really good, interesting content, and the community is certainly excited about it and sort of diving deep. I don't think anyone's got their hands on it necessarily in a form that they can show us yet, but looking forward to see it.
Yeah, because it was talking about the rollout for all of this is, spring, of next year kind
really?
of talking. So, when we're talking about some of this rename and the messages is talking about, this will be rolling out late January, blah, blah, blah. But some of these features coming together, will be that's kind of the time frame we're talking about is spring and then later on some other stuff. So it's not immediate, but soon-ish.
The good resource link to use is aka.ms/the new planner. So check that out. I'm going to. Daniel, moving on to, this is good. Some things happening with Teams in the web browser. Yeah.
Announcing the general availability of new Teams on web for Edge and Chrome, MC 690-598. Yes, the new experience of Teams, brand spanking new Teams that's been around for a while, is coming to Teams on web. So you'll be able to have that like now, be able to have, you'll go in there and you'll try the new Teams toggle will be there for you. And so you can switch it on and have the new experience, which I think is great, Daryl, because of all of and we've had several conversations around this, these new experiences that are coming in Teams that are going to require new Teams. And, the thought has been, well, what about those people who use Teams in the browser, whether they're forced to, or they are in different tenants, or actually it's more like they're different, different logins, right? And you need to have Teams client and Teams web, and how does that all work? And so anyway, this kind of helps with that, because new Teams is coming to the web for Edge and Chrome. For the there is some rollout time frames here about when it's going to be available, when it will be forced to be optional, because you could turn this off, and when it will be there, forced there, and then this will be updated, and you will get more information as the process goes along. But it's available today, which we don't really like it when Microsoft does this, where they go, hey, by the way, it's already there. But this, it's one of those things where it's a toggle, which means while it's there, you have to actually click it to experience it. But sure wish we had some knowledge up front about this. But so what do you think, Daryl? Am I spot on there with, this bringing in that functionality that will be required for the new functionality that we've already talked about before coming in Teams?
The pattern that they're using now for releasing and trying new versions of software. Well, I think we first saw it in Outlook, the new Outlook, and try this out. I really like it, and I've heard that it's used internally as well as a way. And this isn't like breaching any NDAs. It's just a smart mechanism that if you want to switch between the new and what's stable in production, there's a switch. And this is a good way to transition. That here's the switch; it's available. As admins, you can turn that off if you need to restrict access to that. Then that gradual progression of making it the default experience. I think at the moment there's a few things that aren't possible in terms of parity experience, which that's why it's an optional thing. So yeah, it's good though. I think I like this. Switch it and try it. If it's not working out for you, switch it back. Gradual way.
Sure. Well, switching gears here a little bit. Let's switch to some things we kind of were buried
down
in
a gear,
the
up a
news.
gear, Daniel. Down a gear, up a gear.
Well, it's like they buried it in Microsoft Ignite announcements. I had to hunt and hunt and hunt to find information about this thing that some people are talking about, Copilot. I don't even know how to spell it. But it's coming to. I'm on Windows 10. It's coming to Windows 10, right? That's amazing.
Exactly. So you can finish the message now that you've said all that.
No, I want you to tell it. I want you to.
No, it's funny. Like side comment that the Copilot news was so prolific that news about Copilot was buried under news about Copilot, and this is one of them.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But we know that Windows 11 was signaled. Was it back at the beginning? Hang on, September 17th. I forget what the date was. It was a September
Let me ask
day.
Copilot. I'll ask Copilot.
Yeah, you do that. You go and do that. But MC 690505 talks about bringing Copilot to more people using Windows. It's coming to Windows 11, or actually, it's actually here. Sorry, I'm experiencing it this week in my new job. But there's a good portion of organizations that are still quite happy to stay on 10 because it's nice and stable. It's still getting its updates. It's still a great OS. So here comes the opportunity to have Copilot as part of your experience in things like the search box. Now, Daniel and I are sort of wondering, because it says, first of all, Copilot for Windows 10 will be rolled out broadly to non-managed devices that are being Windows Home and Pro editions of Windows 10. And so they're going for, first of all, those devices that are not business related, I think, really,
right,
and aren't necessarily managed. And the experience that we think that they'll get because of the other thing around the renaming of the Bing Chat and then Bing Chat Enterprise to Copilot and Copilot Pro, or Copilot, what did we say it was? Is it Copilot Pro?
No, it's Copilot and Copilot. I don't know that there's differentiation because it basically, when I'm reading, it says Microsoft Copilot, which is what Bing Chat is going to be renamed to, but then Bing Chat Enterprise is going to be renamed to Copilot. I mean, there's a message in the message center this week about that, but it just says Copilot, and it's Copilot with a little protected symbol.
Like a little switch, right? Yeah. So whether you're using it publicly, personally for Windows 10, outside of being part of a work device, you can use Copilot and access Chat GPT 3.5 and
it's 4 now.
Stuff.
It's
4.
Is it 4? Okay, it is 4. Yeah.
And then Copilot Business Edition, Pro something, Enterprise.
We're a little confused.
when your device is, if you've signed into Microsoft 365 and you can access that tenant from your Windows device, then you will be able to perform queries and prompts to your business data.
Which I just did.
By the way,
yep. Copilot
on a Windows 10 device.
Copilot in Windows was announced September 21st, 2023. And a free update for Windows 11 was made available September 26th of 2023. So just wanted to fill you in. That's what Copilot says anyway.
So coming to Windows 10, that's the short version. Daniel actually finished saying the message 10 seconds after he started, and I just added a whole lot of volume to it. But we'll continue moving along.
Now hold on a second. I think what I do think is
something else you want to cover.
Well, it's just very interesting. You mentioned home devices and basically non-enterprise devices are getting this first in Windows 10, which is very interesting in my mind because it basically is giving it to the people who, I guess, are not paying.
Accessing the free version.
It's like the free.
Or the included version.
Yeah. So I think that's very interesting. So home users are getting this first. As you mentioned, I think that's an important part to kind of, draw out from that. That's all.
Yep. Yeah. Good. Fair call. All right.
Fair, he says.
Your turn. Org data.
Yes. Organizational data in Microsoft 365, MC 690-182. This is an interesting one. If you kind of mentioned this, to somebody who doesn't work in Microsoft 365 admin kind of space, they may go, wait a minute, why would you want to do this? Basically, this is allowing you to export from an HR system, an CSV file, flat file, and then take that manually, flat file, and import it into Microsoft 365. So you may go, look, what? Manually? Why in the world would you do that? Why wouldn't you automate this? Well, this is for those systems that you can't automate, right? And this is the ability for admins to go in and say, I take the CSV of people information, and that people information in the CSV, I can upload it, it'll ingest it, but that then will be used by these various services in 365 that need that data of relational data, who's who, what department they're in, all of this kind of information that, things like when you are targeting content, audience targeting and that kind of thing, you need this information. People cards, filling in, all of that information. If it's not something that's automatically in your Active Directory, now Intra ID, then you need to do this import. And so that's what this is enabling you to do. Now it does, Daryl, bring up some interesting, thoughts here is that, okay, what is the process for updating? Because you're going to hire some people and people are going to leave. So how do you update this import? How do you manage this from a perspective of ongoing? And will there be any ability to do automation in the future? We don't know.
Oh, absolutely. Because Daniel, part of the strategy here is if the app or the platform doesn't provide an API or some level of automation, it only provides a CSV export, and then your organization imports it into Microsoft 365 and sees so much value in that and says, this is amazing, this is great. Yeah. They're going to turn around and put pressure on the vendor of the other system.
Yeah, probably.
And say, hey, give us an API.
I mean, this really is for organizations that are using this system for their record of truth on people data. That is probably not enterprise grade. It's probably not something that it's not a big named that has APIs that has all of this. And so there's another way that this might be applicable is you don't really have a technical team at all, right? All you have is the admin power user person who even if it did have an API, they wouldn't know how to, do anything with it. So, but they do know how to click the export and select CSV. And then, so they got a file. So now they can go over here and do an import. I don't know.
There's another possibility too, Daniel.
What's that?
That their org data is a spreadsheet.
True.
So,
or their org data is wrong. And so they need to export it, clean it up, and then import it.
Yeah.
That's another one too. So this is going to be rolling out late November, so soonish. Expect to be completed by early January for everyone to have this functionality in there to be able to do this import. So be looking out for that if that's something that you've been thinking about. Hey, we'd like to have some additional information to be pulling in. So
I'll add this.
Yeah.
It's talking about org data in M365, but the services that are probably going to benefit a lot from it are the Viva services, your insights and things that,
Indeed,
take advantage.
Absolutely. So when that rolls out, let's schedule a meeting from Outlook. Though I want to schedule a town hall.
Do you do it? Do you do it from anywhere else?
Teams, but
okay, yeah, fair enough. Okay. And when you do that, you'll be able to do something a little more than that. Today, when you schedule a meeting in Outlook and you add the Teams switch across, you definitely get a Teams meeting. But this message talks about additional Teams meeting templates added to the Outlook Teams add-in. I'll slow that down after I've said the number, MC690180, with so much enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm getting a bit crazy here. Maybe I'm just super excited about this. It is good that we'll be able to create not just the regular old standard Teams meeting, but you'll have the choice of webinar and town hall, and probably some more to come if you're in kind of a premium range. But those are two good starts. That, for some of us who do organize a lot of meetings, people have been doing it for years maybe, and that's their role. Outlook is super functional. Teams, sure, it does a lot, but Outlook is super functional in being able to say, I'm going to organize a webinar in here or the town hall. We think that it's going to be a bit like when you schedule a Teams meeting in Outlook, that what usually comes after that is the options. You want to configure, how does this webinar work? How does this town hall work? We think that the Outlook new templates experience will be much like the Teams standard one, where you have to create the meeting invite, send it out, and then that'll create the space to configure the options. I've found that to be, I wish we could do it a bit earlier, but such is life. Is it going to be more important now that we'll have a webinar? Work with me on this, Daniel.
Okay.
We've created the meeting webinar, the invite. We are sending that out. We want to create the webinar space as well. Part of that is going through and maybe adding some of the details about who's speaking and what. And it also publishes a page that's publicly available for people who are registering for the webinar. What if the invite goes out and it's picked up and read before all of that stuff is configured? I don't know. Well, we need to see. We had to see. But I'll keep it short. There's some good information down the bottom there about webinars and town halls and planning. Well, planning.
So virtual appointments are the third one here. That as well as the template. But but you're right. I it's going to be interesting to see how the options work for creating these
and in what order.
Yeah,
Standard release will begin rolling out early December and expect to be complete mid-December. So we shall know by then.
Perfect.
Yep. Get it together, Daniel. Tell us about this next message.
I'll get it together. Together mode and content share layout improvement, MC689501. This is a very interesting announcement here, because this message is talking about, when you go in and you're in together mode, so you're in the stadium seating kind of view or a different type of view in together mode in Teams. but then content is shared. Your together mode is kind of jacked up, right? Well, now it's going to be what they're calling a full together mode, which is interesting, but it's not really full. But basically, they're going to take everybody's position or experience shown, in that together mode, and they're going to put them in the bottom, below, where, just like the screenshot shows, below the shared content. Now, in the screenshot, it's only showing 5 people. There's some issues with the screenshot and the way it's shown, but anyway, but there's only 5 people. What if there's 20? What's it going to do? I'm not sure if you scroll through, if it shows the most
carousel.
Recent person. Yeah. Everyone loves a carousel. So this is, basically they're removing your background and sticking you down there in the bottom, below the content. I think that helps a little bit, in that gives you the perception everyone's kind of in this meeting room, seated at a horseshoe table kind of thing. And, kind of gives you that experience. So there's not a lot of information here at all. Just one screenshot, though, kind of gives you a little bit about that. So I'm not entirely sure how if there's more than, are you going to get small? Is there a carousel?
Yeah, I think I've come up with a way to describe this, and I don't mean to diminish the feature, but it is the gallery mode without backgrounds.
It kind of is, yeah.
It is the gallery.
Yeah.
And it's below the content.
Indeed.
Which then means hopefully we have an option to put it above the content, because you want the eye contact. Yeah.
Who knows? I doubt it. But,
come
maybe.
Together right now.
All right. So this is rolling out early December, completed by mid-December for targeted release. Standard release early January, completed in mid-January. And then, yes, Government Cloud, GCC High, and DoD, although it doesn't mention GCC at all, we'll be getting it late January, completed late February. So we'll be getting that experience. And, sir, to wrap this all up, I'm going to send you a chat message. I just hope you accept it.
Well, that all depends, Daniel, on a number of things. But we'll get into that, and not too deep into that, because we're now at about 36 minutes of show. We're delivering so much value that you should like this episode if you manage to get this far.
Hey, of course they made it this far. Give us a thumbs up and a subscribe, and share it out to all your friends and your enemies.
Yeah, for sure. If you really don't like your pen,
no. I'm just suggesting everybody. So I didn't want them to go, well, I only have 5 friends. No, share it out to everybody.
Maybe sharing this is something of a peace accord.
Maybe.
Yes. You could find peace. Let's start with the message title. Please. Microsoft Teams meeting chat invitation for unmanaged users. MC689496. We always love when a title is written by a product group that has been very focused on the feature. But how would you describe this to regular people? Here's how I would say. It is when someone... Okay, well, maybe that's the catch. How do you put this into a title and you don't make it a big sentence? I should have done this, planned it earlier. Maybe it is harder than it is. This is
external chat invitation
with people who aren't your contacts.
There you go.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. This is when your organization is open federated. In plain English, that means that your organization receives Teams messages from people that you don't have a trust relationship with. You're not connected to. You're just open. A bit like email. And today you will get an invite, and that's it, man. Your message it's coming. You don't have an option to, wait, hold on there. I don't know who you are. I'm not necessarily going to make a connection here. Whereas this is, and they are called unmanaged users, you will be able to accept or reject that message. And then following that, maybe block that external unmanaged person. So yeah, I think it's good. I joked with Daniel before the show, years ago when they said, "Oh, we've finally reached parity with Skype for Business." This is yet another feature that Skype for Business had.
It is
And
indeed.
Teams has now got it.
Yeah, I mean, this
Yeah.
is for those people. Just like you were saying, you allow communication from external, but you don't allow all communication. You don't want to be inundated with that, and so I think that this is a good. It may be catching up with paired, getting parity, but it is a good feature.
Yeah. So this is standard release rolling out early December, expected to complete late December. There are no other stratifications of the delivery of this feature, but I have seen it, and the future is bright.
Ooh, do you have to wear shades?
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for being here and listen to our silly jokes and hopefully get a little educated on some interesting topics and interesting functionality that's coming to your tenant, a tenant near you or something, right? To your tenant very soon. We really appreciate it, and we would appreciate you sharing out. Our numbers are growing for people not just listening to the audio and not just watching, but also people interacting, and that's really what we love, right, Daryl? Is people interacting with what we're saying and adding value after the fact as well. So,
hey, we've also almost reached that threshold where we can do a few more things with our channel.
yeah.
In fact, we kind of have, but YouTube have done this interesting thing where, you've reached it, but now you've got to also qualify by having more people watch more hours and stuff. So what we're getting at there is, please watch the whole episode. Just put it on in the background, let it play. Anyway,
Just let it
I'll
play.
stop there. I could be too cheeky. Let it play, let it play, let it play.
Yes, Cheeky is your middle name. Everyone thinks it's as a service, but it is not. It is Cheeky.
Love
you, man.
Cheeky as a service.
Yes, Cheeky as a service. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. We greatly appreciate it, and we will see you in episode 312 next week. Bye for now.
See you.